Culture. I'm Pio here with my partner Mal, and we have three very special guests. First, Sven of the Mad Pups, friend of the show. Thanks for coming, Sven.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And our two guests of honor, if you will, Abby and Paul, the creators of the Top Dog Beach Club NFT project, recently sold out, and as of today, a top 25 project on OpenSea. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us again. It's
awesome.
awesome.
Oh, our pleasure. Yeah, thanks for coming on. I just want to get started. Like, how are you guys feeling? It must feel incredible to sell out a project like this. 8,000 mints at 0.08 ETH. That's a lot of quid. So I just want to know, how are you guys feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I'll let Abby speak in a minute, but I think it's quite surreal. I don't know if everybody's followed the project and our initial launch, but it took a while to sell out. I guess we'll speak about this a bit more, but if you don't sell out instantly, it could potentially be seen as a failure. And we was quite worried, but I think it worked out in the end, and I think the slow organic growth we're seeing is a good thing. But yeah, I mean, it's awesome that we sold out eventually. And as you said, the price 0.08 these days it's quite hard to achieve a sellout. I know some projects launched yesterday and a few days ago, which again took a while, or they didn't sell out at all. So yeah, it's really cool that we did.
For me, it's just completely surreal. I keep telling people about this, and firstly, they have no idea what I'm talking about. Secondly, I just don't believe it myself. I think Sven just said to me before the show, "If you manage to get back to normal," and I said, "Well, there is no normal now. It's amazing." So yeah, my brain is still adjusting.
Well, seriously, congratulations. You guys deserve it. You put the work into the project. You listened to feedback and made adjustments based on what your audience was saying and based on, what some sort of pros in the NFT game we're talking about. Sven was being humble beforehand, but I know he kind of gave some input. Sven, what are your thoughts on the project so far, and how things have kind of turned out?
Yeah, well, look, first off, Paul, Abby, congrats on, I think, a very successful launch. I think it cannot be overstated, how well you guys have handled the whole process. First of all, I think we got to get away from this idea that a project needs to sell out immediately to be deemed a success. How many projects have we seen that there's like this FOMO rush to get in and the project sells out and then the project disappears? I won't even name some of those projects because, quite frankly, some of them are painful for me, and others, we've all forgotten and they should stay forgotten. I actually was very excited to see the slow build in the momentum, and what that indicates to me was the people that were buying were not buying because of FOMO. They were buying because they liked the project. And sure, at the end, you pick up some momentum. But by and large, and what I kept telling people is, hey, if you guys haven't bought some top dogs yet, now's a good time because all the holders really want to hold these, more so than other projects where it's very flipper heavy. Now, there's flippers in every project. We should be naive about that. But, certainly it had a good build. And I mean, the community's just been great. And, would love to hear you guys talk a bit about the community that started to form. We throw that word around a lot, in the space. Oh, it's about the community. But I mean, if you go pop into the Top Dog Beach Club Discord, you will see people, sharing pics of their favorite dogs, sharing their derivatives, sharing, the names that they've put out there. I think there's excitement for just being involved in it, which is a huge positive. So maybe talk about that, because I think the community build that you've done has been great. And something that a lot of other projects have probably learned from.
Yeah, I mean, you touched up on it a little bit there. It's where what we're actually finding is that people, rather than wanting to flip their dogs, some people do, like I said, every project has those. A lot of people are holding on to them because I've seen some comments that they almost feel attached to the dogs because I don't know, they're cute or they remind them of their pet dog, or we've now release the ability to name your dogs and give them a backstory. So I guess it just builds out a bit more of attachment to them, which sounds a bit weird maybe, but that's what people are telling us, and they're like, I don't want to sell my dog, I'm holding on to it. Yeah, and the community aspect is great. We've got like a puzzles channel, and that's kept me entertained all day. We've got like 20 people like solving this puzzle we've put together and hidden in the dogs. Yeah, it's a really good vibe, for sure.
Shout out to Joff. Sorry, real quick on the puzzles.
The Sherlock Bones crew.
Sherlock Bones, that's what I was going to say. That definitely needs a mention. Do you guys want to explain who he is to our audience who might not know?
Yeah, I mean, briefly, the same thing about community for us is the same thing that's, I mean, just getting to know y'all. We've been very transparent, where people have offered us money and people haven't, y'all didn't. There's never been any of that. And, Sven and Joff and others are just become friends. And we have our own community, and we're involved in some other small communities. And I think it's really exciting that the communities are agnostic to project and type. It's like, okay, I love dogs. I don't like cats. So I resonate here. But, Joff and I have become friends over the last few months. Sven and I have become friends, Sven and Pio, everybody just getting to know each other in this space. And it's really what excites me the most about this space in particular is that it's just a bunch of people trying to help each other. Like, yes, there's the memes and everything else, but for the most part, I think that we all want crypto to be successful, and we all want NFTs to be successful. And so it's not about, oh, it didn't sell out in 5 minutes. Sven's a busy person spending his summer, trying to relax. And he's like, I'm passionate about this. The art resonates with me. Joff, it resonated with him. And so we all just, talk about it behind the scenes, and then we all come together. And, Joff is really excited about it now. And you see other people that are really excited. I know there's the gutter cat loyalists, and I love listening to them. But it's just really, really cool to just see these micro communities continue to grow. And I just want to say real quick is like, it's so awesome for me to see like Ferocious, Mad Dog Jones, Trevor Jones, all these names buying y'all's like top dogs. It's crazy to see.
Ferocious just dropped into the Discord and go, "Hey guys, what's going on?" Everyone's just like, "What?" It's insane. Like that just happened organically, which I think is a really good sign. It was actually his first NFT collectible ever, and then his first purchase in 3 months on his public wallet at least. But yeah, that was really cool. Really cool.
Yeah, he went from he got a top dog and then he got a punk. So
yeah.
But Mal brings up a good point, right? Because it's actually so Joff flagged to me that I think Abby, you had mentioned something I said in a prior edition of NFT Culture. So for the regular viewers out there, a little Easter egg for you. And Joff said, you should keep an eye on this project too. And, so through, my trust in Joff, I said, sure, I'll keep an eye on it. And then, we all kind of got together, Joff and I and Mal and Pio with you guys to just share some feedback early on, which we hinted at. And again, this was, just done because we were interested in the project and wanted to see it succeed. And I think it was certainly at a point where there's a lot of excitement about collectibles, but also a lot of uncertainty. Everyone's wondering, like, where does this go next? And I think what was great that you guys did was, beyond just being more public faces of a project, there's so many projects where I have no idea who these people are. Some of them are active in Discord and that's it. Some, there's no activity. But you were taking feedback from us. You were taking feedback from the community that already built in the Discord. And reacting on the fly, and it's not just you guys. A couple other projects have done this recently, like the Cool Cats, for instance. They had some issues early on in their launch. They took some feedback from the community, and they've had a very successful project since. So I think your project, some other projects that are reacting and listening to feedback, it's proof that this is an ongoing conversation. We're all kind of figuring out how to build a better NFT space moving forward, and that is something that gets me really excited because I'm not a builder. I mean, I don't have the skills that you guys have, but we're all part of the same building process to to create stuff here, and I think that's really cool.
I do real quick want to say one thing. We were a few of many voices. We weren't we were just another group of commentators providing genuine feedback. We were participants in the broader discussion. There was a lot of feedback on the other Discords and everything else as well. So I want to clarify that we were a voice, not the primary voice.
We're not taking credit. I thought I did all the art.
You want a percentage cut?
No. I want to put that out there. We were one of many voices, but we were just excited that you would take our feedback and take the consideration, and that was an honor for all of us, I think.
Yeah,
you guys
I think
were
it was the best
first show
decision.
that we were on. So
Sorry.
sorry, Paul. During these interviews, I just keep talking over Paul constantly, so he's used to it. Sorry. Is my signal okay? I'm a bit worried about talking too much. That's why I've been quiet, because I think my signal's a bit dodgy.
We can hear you. Yeah, we can hear
Okay,
you.
great. I just wanted to say that you guys were the first show that actually had us on, and the excitement around that, it was totally surreal. So we really love you guys, and we love your show. We're so happy to be back. And it wasn't even that long ago. I've kind of lost all track of time. I have no idea how long ago it was now. It can't be more than a couple of weeks. And so much has happened since then. So yeah, really good to come back on the show.
Thank you so much. And, it really is a real pleasure to have you guys. And the congratulations is absolutely sincere, because it is no small feat to sell out one of these projects. Like you kind of alluded to before, the price point wasn't as low as some other projects. And a lot of this has to do with like recent trends. So to be able to have a successful project that kind of bucks that trend is extra successful. And then obviously, top 25 on OpenSea speaks for itself. I wanted to see if, really the three of you going into the drop, and then even after the drop, what were the tweaks that you think might have made a difference? Because the project was being built on an ongoing basis. So I'm wondering if you guys kind of, in retrospect, are able to pinpoint a couple of things that were particularly important.
That's definitely a Paul question.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was what we've already touched upon. So the listening to the community feedback, speaking with you guys, speaking with other people in the space, and reducing the initial mint count from 10K down to 8K. I think that massively helped. That massively resonated with the community. Everyone was happy. I don't think I heard one bad word about that, especially because we kept the original price. So we was going to do 10K at 0.8, 0.08, and we did 8K at 0.08. Everyone was pretty much happy. And then it was just a constant engagement. Like we was just on it on Twitter, and we've got some great mods, and they was creating like memes and just like loads of content marketing. And on top of that, we've got all the utility that we're building into the project, which I think helped a lot. A lot of people are excited about a lot of the roadmap activations. And I think it's just keeping that momentum going, and just like relentlessly just keep going, and it paid off. Yeah.
I think the lesson that I've learned for anybody out there thinking of doing a project like this is as soon as you go public, it's over. What I mean is your time and your ability to just sit there with no distractions and work on what you're working on, that kind of peace and quiet and that focus is a lot harder when you go public, because now we've got Discord, we've got all these amazing comments. I just can't ignore them. It's really, really hard just to go, I'm not going to look at it for an hour.
Yeah.
If somebody's asking for help, or somebody's, saying something really lovely about us, and they don't deserve to be ignored. So it's hard to find that balance now. But I remember a time a few weeks ago where nobody knew anything about us, and I could just sit there all evening and I could just draw and create, and that was good. That was good. So just make sure that you get the moment right when you release, to make sure that you've done as much as you possibly can do. Paul, sorry, did you want to say something?
No, I was just going to add, I have a newfound respect for anybody who creates an NFT project, because even before we started this, as a collector myself, like, it looks easy on the outside. It's not. It's really, really not. I have a newfound respect for anybody that creates any sort of project. It's a lot of work. Like stuff you just don't even see.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And Abby, thinking back to a simpler time, 3 weeks ago, when her life was so much simpler than it is now. I'd be curious for like Sven and Mal, as people that, aren't building the project, but rather, witnessing the project as a collector or witnessing the project as just, you know, another one of these collectibles projects. Yeah, I guess we can start with Sven and then we can throw to Mal. You know, what kind of did you see that you thought was interesting about the project and maybe that made the project ultimately successful?
Yeah, there's definitely a couple things I think that, you know, set the project apart. And again, there are other projects that, you know, have aspects of these, but I think taken together, they were really helpful. But before I do that, I do have to point out, you know, the decision, you know, by the team here to reduce the mint count, you know, that's huge, right? Like a lot of, there's no incentive financially to do that, you know, because they would have sold out at 10K, right? I mean, if you look at what happened as they were building slow momentum, if they hadn't sold, you know, the full amount on day one, whether it was 8K or 10K, given what they did as the rest of the project, they would have sold out. So that's a lot of ETH that they said, you know, we're going to forego this because it's what the community wants. So I think, you know, that's something to really be commended for. But in, you know, in focusing on the positives beyond that, you know, a couple things I really like. The first thing is that the art overall really looks clean and good, regardless of the rarity. And so you have these projects where, you know, the ultra rare items are awesome, everyone wants them, but the floor is kind of undesirable. And, you know, first off, I mean, these dogs, they're such good little dogs. Who wouldn't want the floor dogs? But, you know, there's no bad dog, right? The base art is really good, and the overall vibe is really clean. Does everything match perfectly? No, of course not. Everything does match perfectly. But relative to some other projects, I think it's undeniable that the more common, you know, dogs look really good. Now, some people view that as a negative, to be honest, where they would say to me, well, I can't really tell rarity. And I said, okay, well, that's fine. Maybe it hurts the top end, but it supports the broader, you know, community because more people own common dogs than rare dogs. So I think that's been a positive, and why so many people actually like, you know, the dogs that they have. So that's number one. Number two, you know, the site that you guys built to actually, you know, look at your dogs, you know, name your dogs, and actually see all the characteristics and traits is really good. I certainly hope that more projects follow your lead. And also, you know, the levels that you put in, and I'm still curious as to where this will go, because I got a dog that is as friendly as could be. He is a 99 out of 100. He's super friendly. He's dumb as rocks, right? I don't know what that means, but it's cool. And so, you know, I think you have everyone gets so focused on the traits, types, and the rarities. You know, levels, to me, there's no rarity there, right? You can't, I mean, you could try to get an aggregate score and see what that means. I have a feeling that you have perhaps more planned for the levels, and I'm sure we'll learn about that when the time comes. But again, it's something extra that if you didn't have the levels, the project would still be the project. It'd be fine, but it's just something, you know, additional. And by the way, when I look at that dog that's super friendly, I can tell he's really friendly and dumb as rocks. So it's accurate.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point on the levels. We've not really released a lot of information about what they are. I think people can generally get an idea of what they might be used for, and we've hinted at sort of games around that and gamification. We're not 100% sure exactly what we're going to do at the minute. We have a lot of ideas. I think I said on another show I did that we're looking at like a battle royale type game with different seasons, and then we're looking at like a Pokemon battle type game. We know exactly what the traits are going to be used for and how it's going to affect the game, but we're just not sure, I guess, on the style and the characteristics of the game. But yeah, I mean, everybody's looking at their temperaments and they're going, well, 100's great, right? I know the 100's where you want to be. I don't know. Like, do you want a really aggressive dog, or who knows?
Depends on what you're going for, right?
Leave that on there.
I love how you keep people on their toes, Paul. It's great.
But you didn't have to do this, right? Like when you were building the project, when you started, at what point did you decide, let's incorporate levels beyond just having the normal traits that every project has? Like, I think that's interesting to me, and shows that at some of the project it was, let's do something more, right? Like, let's build the website to name, let's have the levels. Like, this is all additional work that went into making it a more complete project, and that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's just building that utility in, just constantly just thinking about what else can we do on top, how can we go the extra length and put that extra effort in to show to everybody that we're not here, for a quick flip and that's it, like other projects have done. Like, this is a long-term project, and we just want to constantly build on it and constantly deliver. I hope it shows.
I definitely think it does. Like, Mal, from your perspective, what did the project really nail and what made it successful?
Yeah, what's really interesting is that, we've had, like, the space is so new, we all act like experts, and we've had months to figure out which attributes are rare on the apes. So, like, we can all look at apes and be like, oh yeah, that's a 2%, that's a 1%, that's a 4%. Like, we understand generally what creates value, but then we try to say, okay, every derivative project, whether it's a derivative of the apes or the punks or whatever, it should take those exact same attributes, and it should have laser eyes being super rare and all these things. And it's up to the artists and the creators to decide what attributes they value as rare. And it's going to take time and a lot of insight to, like, watch them and learn about what makes them rare and unique. And then when you add on utility, as we head into this utility phase, there's going to be a bunch of attributes that aren't obvious that actually make them truly unique and more valuable. And so I think we're going to be entering this next phase. And so we see a lot of scrutiny right now. And then the other side of that is that we're in one of the benefits of these communities that I described a few minutes ago is the value that we all have with each other. But what I also find is that we become myopic, and we listen to our peers and our small little cohorts very closely, and everyone's not going to make it here, not going to do this here, and then we're surprised when these projects break out and they're super successful. And that, for every project that we do focus on, there's 5 more projects, 20 more projects being launched. And so for me, I was tired of cats, and candidly, next week I love this project, but, like, there's a lot of dog projects coming, right? And some of them look a little bit too similar to your art for my comfort. Some of them take their own take, and I think that's cool. But I think as we enter this next phase, SAS talks about it a lot, Nick, that we need to, as this evolves, utility is going to be important. So some of the hints that you made about what could come and the attributes that are there that we don't really understand, you're playing 4D chess, well, a lot of other projects are still playing checkers. So that's exciting as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good point, and Sven touched upon this, that we've put a lot of effort into the aesthetic of the dog. So you can, other projects, a gold body or a gold head is deemed as the most rare. I mean, it's all subjective, but for me personally, I would go more for a dog that sort of matches aesthetically. And there's a lot of quite rare dogs where they've got both the same color head and body. Yeah, I mean, I guess it is subjective, but we put a lot of effort into the floor dogs to make them look good.
You guys mentioned at one point that the face masks were rare because you did not want to cover up the dogs' faces, because look, the dogs look good. I get it. You don't want to cover it up. And then there's been some, I guess, how do you feel about the discussion around whether or not the rarity rankings really reflect the project when, face mask dogs, by virtue of them being more rare, they just automatically rise to the top? Because, when I hear you talk, Paul, right, like, those wouldn't be the dogs I bet that you would pick first to collect. So, and aesthetically, look, they look good too, but I like looking at the faces. So, like, how do you balance that? Thinking like, well, these became ultra rare dogs, and so people might value them more, but you purposefully didn't want more face masks because you wanted to show off the rest of the art.
Yeah, I mean, I knew they would be the most rare because it's just supply and demand. Like, there's a limited number of them. There's going to be a lot of people wanting to get their hands on because of, I guess, that deemed value. If it's less, if it's more rare, then it's more valuable. But yeah, you're right. Like, I didn't particularly like the face mask. I don't think Abby did either. So we purposely made it so they wouldn't appear as often as a hat or some clothes.
I like the face mask, but just not, like we said, just not on every dog, because that kind of defeats the object of all that hard work that we put in. So they're rare, and they're rare for a reason, because you're not going to see many of them, and some people really love them, and I do like them, but there is something which actually is very, very rare, which I really love, and it's the space helmet. I don't know if you've seen that. Are there about 3 of those out there, Paul?
I think 5. 5.
5. Okay, so
I don't
that's
have
one
any.
that I would put that at the top there to say that, that is rare because it is really good, and we've really limited that. So that is rare in the true sense of the word, really.
Yeah,
how much emphasis should collectors put on tools like rarity tools that they're guessing, right? You don't go and tell them what your long-term roadmap and what your long-term vision may be in terms of some of these things. So I'm curious, there's benefits, right? Because it generates that excitement. They serve a purpose, but at what point does that bell curve become really confusing, where all the action's at the bottom and the top, and there's these lonely dogs and puppy purgatory?
Yeah, I mean, we've been DMing the guys, and they've been adjusting the algorithms as, I guess, the project goes on. I think any new project, the rarity is quite unknown at the beginning, and they all shuffle order. I think that's natural for any project. We have been advising them on what should be the most rare in terms of temperaments and traits. They've actually added another filter for that, I think, earlier today, this morning, and they fixed a bug where it was ranking them wrong. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess we want to challenge the perception of what is rare and what's valuable, and to make it a bit different. So, like, do you want to have a dog that looks really cool and that is rare look wise, and whatever its skin is, whatever its hat is, or do you want a dog that's rare and that might be beneficial in the game and the battles that are coming later? Yeah, I mean,
I think our message from the very start.
Than the natural any other project.
Sorry, Paul, there's a bit of delay.
Sorry.
I was going to say, from the very start, our message has always been it's subjective. I mean, somebody jumped in straight away, another rarity tool. Somebody else jumped in immediately and kind of got something together, and they weren't working with us on that. And we did say, this is subjective. This is a separate project, and people were quite happy just to get an idea of how rare their piece might be. Oh my goodness! Look at this, a sapphire. Do we recognise that scarf?
Oh, look at that.
When we were doing the live stream, it was shocking when we saw the sapphires.
I saw. It
was crazy.
I think minted. Yeah, there we go. Scarf.
Does she know that she's famous now?
I think you're muted, Pio.
Oh.
Of course. What I was going to say is, just so everybody knows, when I was just holding up my dog there, I did that on the first stream, and Abby immediately was like, send us a picture of that bandana. And then lo and behold, within literally maybe 2 or 3 days, I saw the renderings of this, and it's like, look at that, Sapphire's bandana is in the project. So that really obviously was very special to me. Funny story, I didn't mint any of those with this bandana, but Mal did.
Mal got
and he
one,
told
right?
me,
Yeah.
I paper handed those while I was trying to use rarity tools to get a rare one. So my goal at the time was sell for a little bit of profit, and then I started, once they dropped. One of the things that I didn't like about rarity tools is it's ranking them when there's a massive amount of supply that's not out yet. And so a common trait that's randomly, procedurally common, accidentally or not, early, makes people think that it's always going to be the rare trait. And so there's these rare activities that are going on. And so I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to flip some of these that I have some rare traits on. And then I bought a bunch for 0.04, and then I bought a fairly expensive one, and I'm watching the floor right now. I want to get back to, I think, four total pups is really where my head's at. But it's one of those things that people don't know what they have right now. And this is the my biggest challenge, and I think others have this, is as Sass or Nick always, I can't believe we talk about him so much, but rule number one is never fall in love. So it's like, if I can find pups that I love, while people are flipping these and self-sorting themselves. And it's interesting, just like the gamification, is you're making announcements, it's going to shift the strategies, whether it's what group you're in, what those attributes are, and otherwise. And so I view it as an opportunity to just buy additional ones. I should have offered Pio first pass, but that one sale allowed me to buy 3 more pups, which eventually got me to my gold eyes. So I apologize, Pio.
So I gotta jump in and say one thing, which is first off, Pio, I would have just given you the bandana. So to be clear, your Uncle Sven would have taken care of you. But look, I do have to disagree with one thing, which is, look, I love Nick. He does a lot for the space. And I generally get the view that you shouldn't fall in love with your NFTs because, ultimately a lot of people here are looking to invest. But there have to be people also looking to collect. Otherwise, this doesn't work, right? And so, I have plenty of NFTs that, I won't sell. There are others that I will sell. I end up minting more of a project because I know there's going to be some that I refuse to sell. And so I will hopefully sell a portion of my overall mint, as the project appreciates. And I'll diamond hand it, as much as I can until then. I think I ended up minting 25 top dogs because I was having so much fun minting them. So, it is okay, I think, to love your NFTs. If you are only here to invest, that's fine. But, you got to recognize that unless other people do love their NFTs, then your investment strategy won't work long term. And I think you guys built a project that is designed for people to feel more attachment to. So I am certainly, optimistic long term, because there are Avatar projects that will go away. That there's just a lot of these out there. Not all of them can, build the type of community that you built. Some will go away. The ones that survive will survive because people really enjoy them. So I hope everyone who buys Top Dogs is able to make some money along the way. That's great, right? Buy something you love and profit, but it can't just be about the profit.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we've tried to do, what we have done, is that balance. Like you said, we have to have the people wanting to invest and flip them, because that's where a lot of the money comes into the project, and that's how the project survives long term. But we've tried to really balance the I really like this dog, so I'm going to hold it, or I don't care about this dog, I'm just going to flip it. I think we've got it right. I think we're starting to see that more and more. It's a really fine balance. I think it's hard to strike.
I think what people really want is something to be a part of, isn't it? We all want to be a part of something. If we can create a space and a community where people are happy and they feel like they can participate and they feel like they can make changes as they go along, they're really active in it and their ideas matter, then that's kind of what we're aiming for. We've just announced our the part of our roadmap, the 40K community grant. We're looking to pay people to make their ideas happen for our project. I don't know if you've seen the announcement, but we're asking people to submit a form to us. It's on our Discord. If they want to make a music video or some art or something in 3D, which is something that I can't do. We're up for those ideas, and if they pitch those to us and we like it, we're willing to kind of invest in their ideas. So that is something I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. And, one thing I saw that some of the commenters were asking about is just any updates on the roadmap. So it sounds like that's, kind of in your crosshairs. Is there anything else that the owners of Top Dog Beach Club, or maybe speculators that are on the outside thinking about getting in, should pay attention for in the next 1 month to 3 months?
Yeah, I mean, just before the show, we put out a huge announcement. It's got 12 points and have to split it in 2 pages. Check that. We're initially focusing on delivering our first roadmap. So we've got the merchandise coming. We've met with Maddie's, who's done the Bored Apes and the Good to Cats merch. So that's rolling. We've offsetted our carbon CO2 emissions earlier today, so that's done. We're donating to charity again later this week. What else have we got coming up? I don't think I've shared this yet, but maybe I can show you guys live. I never like to do a live demo, but no, okay, it's not going to work. Okay, fine. But what we're doing is, so we have the Photoshop files that are layered. So in there you have the ears, the hat, the body, the face, all separate layers. And what we're going to do, allow people to do, is sort of pull those layers out and then use them live in augmented reality. So if you're on a video call like this, I could be wearing my dog's hat or my dog's clothes or bow tie or bandana or whatever. So I've been noticing a lot of people, like, especially if they want to remain anonymous in the space on Twitter or on YouTube, they'll just put the whole avatar over their head. But imagine if you could actually wear their clothes and it sort of tracks your body and it looks great. That's what we're working on behind the scenes. And I think that's, well, hopefully it's going to change the space. Like, you can literally be your avatar. And that's really interesting and really exciting. And we hope to release a demo soon in the next few days. That's been really cool.
I think that's a bit of an exclusive actually for you guys, because we haven't mentioned that in public before. Paul showed me a little bit of demo, so yeah, it's going to be awesome. I've seen a glimpse of what's possible there.
We got the scoop just before Sven's going to take off.
So. No, this is great. I gotta hop. So thanks for having me on, and congrats again, guys. I'm actually going to go and work on my community proposal because Abby said to get to work, but no, seriously, you've done great work. I'm enjoying the project and keep it up. And I'm sure if there's any other scoops that are dropped here, I'm sure Mel and Pio can catch me up later. So take care.
Thanks, Sven.
Bye, Sven.
Bye.
Thanks so much, Sven.
Well, that's crazy. Like, when you think about, Paul, like, some of the artists out there who could use, for instance, like, Adobe Animate or a character animator, where you could actually like use those layers and like create your own, like, you could basically animate your dog. And it sounds like the way you set up the PSD layers, it'll be accessible where they could probably do some of that motion tracking and do some actual interactivity with that. That's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, we're starting to see the power of that now. So a lot of people in the Discord and the community are like sharing additions they've made and like changing the size of their hair or changing their clothes on their dog. It doesn't reflect the actual NFT itself, but it's fun for them. They own the dog and the art. Why not? And actually, an extra utility we're doing, and we ran the first session earlier, is Abby carried out a training session for all of our Discord members. I think there was about 40 people in there at once, just sort of watching Abby how to use Photoshop, like the really basics of resizing things and the basics of layers and coloring. And that's what I want to focus on as well going forward more, is like you have and you can use our knowledge and skills and
And you linked to like an open source version of Photoshop as well. So you don't have to have necessarily Adobe Creative Cloud. You're making it so not only are you teaching people how to play with it, but people who may not even used Photoshop before in their entire life, you're giving them access to actually go and explore this.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have any advice for your appreciation for how hard it is to launch one of these projects? Do y'all have any advice for anyone who's thinking about biting off more than they can chew or entering this? Because we're moving so fast and the scrutiny is increasing so much. And any tips or advice you'd have for those that are out there thinking, I wanna go do what y'all did?
I think I'm a technical person, so my advice would be make sure the technicals are right, make sure you're confident, whether you're doing it yourself or whether you're hiring a third party. There's been a lot of, FUD on Twitter recently about certain projects leaking their metadata ahead of minting. You got to make sure that's tight. You got to make sure the contract is tight. If anything is wrong there, then your project's pretty much dead in the water, I'd say. So you've got to make sure that is as tight as it can be. Yeah, and expect to give up your life if you're in for it the long run, and your wife not to be very happy with you sometimes.
Well, Abby just quit, right? That's a big announcement. You're full time
Yeah.
on this, right?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't expecting to. I thought at most I would go part time. And me and my husband were very sort of careful about things. You know, we want a steady job and a steady income and all of that. And I thought that I could do that, but it just doesn't make sense for me to not be completely focused on this. I tried it for a couple of days and I just said, it's not working out. And we are very careful, but at the same time, out of all my family, I think I'm the one that I really like actually taking chances. I know that's kind of contradictory, but I do love change and I do like taking a leap and just seeing where it takes me. So yeah, it's really, really cool. Just with your question before that Paul answered about advice to people looking to do a project like this, I think the first thing I would say is innovation. You have to be innovative. You have to have your own ideas, and yeah, look at what else is out there and take inspiration from that. We certainly have, but think, where is that going to be in 4 months' time? If you start planning to do something similar to what you see in front of you right now, you're going to be dead in the water straight away, because things are going to evolve before you've even released. So you always need to be thinking ahead of the game.
4 months is a long time though, Abby. In 4 months, I could probably have like a whole litter of top dogs just hanging out on my bed right here on camera. Like that'd be pretty, it's pretty wild. But no, you know, it sounds like the roof was definitely blown off of the, you know, don't take chances and make careful decisions plan when this thing, you know, started getting underway. But I'm really happy that it's worked out for you guys.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
so far.
too.
Sorry, Abby.
So far.
You go, Paul. You go. It's your turn.
I was going to say, so far, I mean, it's obviously a risk personally for us. I'm full-time on this now as well. We obviously are aware of the risks, but I think it just shows how much dedication and time we're putting into this project. Like, it is going to be a success because we're going to make it a success. And it is, I mean, I jokingly said in our announcement earlier, you know, we want to be where the apes are, if not better. We want to be there. That's the
attitude. That's the attitude you need to have, right? You don't want to be like, yeah, we want to be last on the list. No, you gotta be.
That's the other thing as well. It's people need to understand, if they're going to do something like this, they need to be there for the community, and they have a responsibility. It's a bit of a cliche, really, I suppose, but there's a huge responsibility here. We've made promises. We've gotten loads of people on board, and they're trusting us to make this work. So we do need to be putting 100% into this, and we're doing absolutely everything we can, and it's looking awesome.
I think so too. So, you know, Mal, do you have any other questions for them?
I could go on forever, and I don't want to burn this out. I hope that, you know, we can continue to have y'all on in the future as, you know, this project grows and evolves, and there's obviously going to be many announcements, and we're just thankful that y'all gave us a chance to come on and really de-anonymize that. I think near 100% before y'all were either pseudonymous or anonymous, and so thank you for giving us a chance, and you know, we're excited. I did just send Pio a hoodie/scarf,
really?
Top Dog avatar to make up for that fail, and you know, I'm going to be looking to snipe a few more.
You didn't have to do that, Mal. I didn't see that happen. All right, well, now I'm going to just send you something.
No, it's not a Yeti. Jokes, it's a joke.
Well, thanks so much, Abby and Paul, for coming on. Everybody join the Top Dog Beach Club Discord. We actually just posted it in the link to the chat right here, so you can see it right there, and that's where you'll be able to, you know, pick up on any updates that are coming out. The project is, I believe, number 23 on OpenSea right now, so there's been a big climb in the past 7 days. You know, get your dogs and make sure you follow Abby and Paul on Twitter. I have their Twitter avatars here. Abby, Paul, thank you so much, and congratulations again.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having us on.